The following are the areas where the cyber law is used. First one is the fraud. Consumer depends on the cyber law to protect them from the online fraud. Laws are made to prevent the identity theft, credit card theft and other financial crimes that happens online. A person who commits the identity theft may face the थांबते इथे मी The areas where the cyber law can be used is first one is the fraud. A consumer depends on the cyber law to protect them from online fraud. Laws are made to prevent the identity theft, credit card theft and other financial crimes that happens online. A person who commits identity theft is a state criminal. This might also encounter a civil action brought by the victim. Cyber lawyers work to both defend and prosecute against the allegations of the fraud using the internet. Next, where the cyber law is used is the copyright. The internet has made copyright violation easier. In early days, on online communication, copyright violation were too easy. Both the companies and the individual needs the lawyers to bring an action to impose the copyright protection. Copyright violation is an area of a cyber law that protects the rights of individuals and companies to profit from their creative work. Next is a defamation. Several persons uses the internet to speak their mind. When a people use the internet to say the things that are not true, it can cross the line into defamation. Defamation law are civil laws that save the individual from fake public statements that can harm a business or someone's reputation. When a people use the internet to make the statement that violates the civil laws, that is called as a defamation law. Next is the harassment or a stalking. When a person makes a threatening statement again and again about someone through an online, there is a violation of both civil and criminal law. Cyber lawyers both prosecute and defend the people when stalking occurs using the internet and other forms of electronic communications. The next where the cyber law can be implemented is the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is an important area of cyber law. Even though cyber law forbids the certain behaviors online, freedom of a speech law allows the people to speak their mind. Cyber lawyers must advise their client on the limit of the free speech, including the law that prohibits the obscenity. Cyber lawyers may also defend their clients when there is a debate about whether their action consists of permissible free speech or not. Next, the contracts on and the employment laws. Every time when you click a button that says you agree to the terms and condition of using any website, you are using the cyber law. There are terms and conditions for every website that are somehow related to the privacy concern. Next, we will see what is a cybercrime. friends, a crime which involves a computer and a network is referred to as a cyber crime or a computer oriented crime. Either a computer was intended a victim of the crime or it was involved in the execution of the crime. Cybercrime is when a computer is used as a tool to perform the crimes which include fraud, identity theft, or invasion of privacy. The relevance of cybercrime, particularly over the internet, has increased as computers have become indispensable in every sector, which includes the business, entertainment, and government sector also. The security and the financial health of an individual or the nation may be threatened by the cybercrime. There are many different types of sections that fall under the umbrella of cybercrime. However, generally there are two main categories. The first one is the cyber activity. So cyber activity is, we say that it is generally directed towards the computer system or the network. Different threats such as virus, bugs, etc., for example, denial of service attack, are used in the kind of the crime. Second one is the criminal act which is committed through the use of computer network. These offenses includes financial fraud, identity theft, and a cyber stalking. Next, we will see the classification of cybercrime. Generally, the cyber crime is classified as a cyber terrorism, cyber extortion, cyber warfare, internet fraud, and cyber stalking. We will see one by one. First, cyber terrorism. Cyber terrorism is a term which is used to describe the use of computer and the internet to commit violent activities that cause the we can say crime in the society. This includes various acts that use hardware or software and also make the life of citizen dangerous. Cyber terrorism is generally understood to be any act of terrorism which is carried out by computer or any cyberspace resource. Second one, cyber extortion. Cyber extortion is when criminal hackers repeatedly threatens or launches denial of service attacks against a website, email server, or computer system. Denial of attack means what? Whichever documents are there in your system, those particular documents can get hacked easily by these hackers. These hackers demands a lot of money in exchange for the promise to halt the attack and provide the security. Next, cyber warfare. Cyber warfare is the use of computer, online command system, network for offensive and defensive purpose. Regarding the threat of a cyber attack, espionage and sabotage is involved both offensive and defensive. The next is the internet fraud. Internet fraud is a sort of the fraud or deception that use the internet and may also involve misinterpretation. Next we will see sorry. Next we will see classification of cybercrime. Generally, the cyber crime is classified into these many categories: cyber terrorism, cyber extortion, cyber warfare, internet fraud, and cyber stalking. The first one we will see cyber terrorism. Cyber terrorism is a term which is used to describe the use of computer and the internet to commit the violent activities that cause the crime in the society. This involves various acts that use the hardware or the software that may also make the life of the citizen dangerous. Cyber terrorism is generally understood to be any act of terrorism which is carried out by the computer or cyberspace resources. Second one, cyber extortion. Cyber extortion is when the criminal hackers repeatedly threatens or launch denial of service attack against a website, email server, or a computer system. When we say the denial of attack, so this particular attack is generally, we can say that performed on the large servers of an organization or a website. In denial of service attacks, these hackers repeatedly make a system to go to shutdown. When we say that system is shut down, after that there is no chance for the user to use that particular system or we can say a server also. These hackers demand a lot of money in exchange for the promise to halt the attack and provide the security. When these hackers hacks the system, we call it as a denial of the system, where they go for they go for start करते परत. Cyber extortion. Cyber extortion is when the criminal hackers repeatedly threatens or launch the denial of attack against a website, email server, or a computer system. This denial of attack is generally done on a large organizations where there are large number of servers or a particular website of an organization. These hackers repeatedly shut down the system. We call it as a denial of service attack. This hackers demands a lot of money in exchange for the promise to halt the attacks and provide the security. Next is a cyber warfare. Cyber warfare is the use of computer, online command system, and a network for offensive and defensive purpose. Regarding the threat of a cyber attack, espionage and sabotage is involved, both offensive and defensive action. Next, internet fraud. Internet fraud is a type of a fraud or a deception that use the internet and may involve misrepresenting or withholding the fact in order to fool the victim. The internet fraud is a term which describes a variety of illegal and unlawful activities which are carried out by the cyberspace rather than the single user. Next, cyber stalking. This type of internet harassment involves bombarding the victim with the email and online communication. As opposed to this offline stalking, these stalkers in this instance use the internet to track their victim, to make the victim's life worse and start offline stalking in addition to the internet stalking if they observe that the former is not having desired impact of it. Next, what are the challenges that we might face in the cybercrime? The first one is people are unaware of their cyber rights. The cybercrime usually happens with the, we can say, illiterate people who are unaware of these act being provided to them. Hence, there is a right which is provided by the government to a particular country that might go for using this cyber law. Second one, anonymity. Those who commit cyber crime are anonymous to us, that is, they are unknown to us. Hence, we cannot do anything to that particular person. Next, less number of case register. Every country in the world face the challenge of cybercrime, and the rate of cybercrime is increasing day by day because the people who even don't register a case of cybercrime, and this is a major challenge for us as well as for authorities as well. Next, mostly committed by well-educated people. As we say that ki educated people, so they are aware of this system, this act also. Committing a cyber crime is not, we can say, a cup of tea for every individual, but the person who commits the cyber crime is a very technical person, so he knows how to commit the crime and not to get catched by those authorities. And the next one is no harsh punishment. In cybercrime, we can say that there is no any harsh punishment on every case. But there is a harsh punishment in some cases, like when somebody commits the cyber terrorism. In that case, there is a harsh punishment for that particular individual. But in other cases, there is no harsh punishment. So this factor also gives encouragement to that particular person who commits the cybercrime. Now, what are the preventive measures to prevent this cybercrime? The first one is use of a strong password. When we say that keep password, so everywhere, wherever there is an online transaction committed by the user, there is a password which is being provided to the user. Maintain different password and username combination for each account and resist the writes from the others. Weak password can be easily cracked using certain attacking methods like brute force attack, rainbow table attack, etc. This means that to get a strong password, a user should use the combination of letter, numbers, special symbols, or we call it as a special characters. Next, use of trusted antivirus in a device. Always use trustworthy and highly advanced antivirus software in a module or a personal computer. This leads to the prevention of different virus attacks on a device. Next one, keep social media private. Always keep your social media account data privacy only to your friends. Also make sure only to make the friends who are known to you. Next, keep the device software updated. Whenever you get update of the system software, it is your duty that to always update your system, because sometimes the previous version can also be easily get attacked. Generally, when we are working online, we always get a pop-up message regarding the update of the system, or we have installed an antivirus into our system, we get a pop-up message to update the antivirus. Every time we have to update this particular antivirus or a system update. Generally, what is happening whenever we, for example, we install the antivirus into a system, the developers or a programmer who work for this antiviruses, every time if there is a new virus which is introduced into the market, these developers develops the program which acts as an antivirus to that particular virus. So when we are working online and we have installed an antivirus into a system, and if a pop-up message for this antivirus comes, we should always update those particular messages, or we update the antivirus package to make the system antivirus protected against those viruses which are coming through the internet into a system. Next, use the secure network. Public Wi-Fi are vulnerable. Means what? They might easily attack the system. Avoid conducting the financial or corporate transactions on these networks. Next, never open the attachment in a spam emails. A computer gets infected by malware attacks and other forms of cyber crimes through the email attachment. We call it as a spam mail. Never open an attachment from this sender which might go for defecting or attacking your system. And the last one, software should be every time updated. Operating system should be updated regularly, which when it comes to the internet security. This can also become a potential threat when cyber criminals exploit the system. The next will go for the reason why the commission of a cyber crime is introduced in a system. To earn a huge amount of money, cyber criminal always choose a easy way. Bank, casino, companies and financial firms are the prosperous organization and their target centers, where multiple, or we can say plenty of money runs daily. It is very difficult to catch those criminals. Hence, the number of cyber crimes are increasing day by day across the globe. We require so many laws to protect and safeguard them against the cyber criminals. Since the device we use every day for business and communication might have vulnerabilities that can be exploited. There are some reasons why the commission of cybercrime is introduced. First one, easy to access computer. Since technology is complex, it has become very difficult to protect the computer from the virus and hackers. There are so many possibilities of hacking when we safeguard a computer system from an unauthorized access. Hackers can steal the access code, retinal image, advanced voice recorders, etc. That can also mislead the biometric system easily, and also can be utilized to get the past many security systems by avoiding the firewalls. Hence, to avoid this also, we have to maintain a firewall to a system. Second one, size to store the computer data in a comparatively small space. The computer has got a distinctive feature of storing the data in a very small space. Due to this, people can steal the data very easily from any other storage and are using this for their own purpose. Generally, when we install a system on a machine, we partition the system into the number of drives. We call it as a C drive, D drive, E drive, and so on. Generally, whatever system related programs are installed, they gets installed by default onto the C drive. Whenever these hackers want to hack the system, their main target is the C drive. Hence, we have to go for implementing such a commission which might go for protecting our system from this type of crimes. Next, complexity of the data. A computer can run on an operating system, and these operating systems are programmed with a million of code. There might be a mistake in the code also by these programmers. The human brain is defective so that they can commit the mistake at any stage. The cyber criminal take the advantage of these loopholes. Next, negligence by the user. Human beings always, we can say, neglect the things. So if we make any negligence in protecting our computer, then the cyber criminals has this particular space through which they can attack our system. And next, the loss of evidence. Hackers always make sure to clear any evidence, that is a log data related to the attack. So the loss of evidence has turned into an evidence problem that disables the law enforcement to go beyond the investigation of cybercrime. These are the some reasons why the Commission of Cybercrime is being implemented. Friends, will go through the summary which we have seen up till now. We have seen what is a cyber law, or we call it as an IT law in India. We have gone through the introduction of the cybercrime. We have seen the classification of the cybercrime and the reason why the Commission of Cybercrime is introduced here. In the next session, we will see the malware and the type of the malware in the system. Thank you. Hello friends, in this session we will go through a topic of a malware and the type of the malware. In the previous session we have seen the cyber law in India, introduction to the cyber crime, classification of cyber crime and reason for the commission of cyber crime in India. First, what is a malware? Malware is a program which is designed to gain the access to the computer system, normally for the benefit of some third party, without the user's permission. Malware includes computer virus, worms, Trojan horses, ransomware, spyware and other malicious programs. Next, types of malware. The first type is a virus. A virus is a malicious executable code which is attached to any executable file. When we say an executable file means what? Whenever I want to run a particular application on a system, we are being provided with an exe file which is to be installed into a system to get that application run. These viruses are attached directly to these executable files. This virus spreads when an infected file is passed from a system to system. As we all are familiar with the games which the you might students go for playing. When you installed a particular game on one system, you might install it into another system also. And if this particular virus is attached with the game exe file, it is being transmitted to each and every system wherever you install that particular game. This virus can be harmful or can modify and delete the data from the system. As we have discussed in the previous session that the virus may attack some, we can say the drives of the system also. So the main intention of these hackers is to hack or to infect the drives where all your applications are being installed regarding your system. A virus generally go for opening that particular file when you trigger that exe file onto a system. Once a program virus is active on your system, it will infect other programs which are being running on your system. Next, worms. Worms, as the name suggests, it replicates themselves on a system. Hence, this named worms is a type of a virus which attacks themselves to different files and are looking for a pathway between the computers, such as computer network that share common file storage area. When we access some file through the internet, we specifically go for accessing or storing that particular data onto some particular drive on the system. These worms generally replicates those files. For example, if we download a particular file through an internet and if we save it onto an D drive, you might get the two duplicate files of the same name also. These are worms. Worms usually slow down the network. A virus needs a host program to run, but worms can run by themselves. As in the virus, we have seen that this particular virus get attached to an executable file, and when we double click on it, or when we execute, or when we trigger that particular exe file, the virus becomes active. But in type of worm virus, they don't need any file to get run. They themselves gets run. After a worm affects the host, it is able to spread it quickly over the network. Next, spyware. Generally, the spyware purpose is to steal the private information from the computer system for the third party. Spyware collect the information and send it to the hackers. Here generally your term comes denial of attack. As in the previous session we have seen this denial of attack term. Here this denial of attack term works with this spyware, which go for stealing some private information from the large, we can say, organization server or through the website data also. And they hand over it to the third party who collect this information for their own purpose. Next, Trojan horse. Trojan horse is a malware that carries out the malicious operations under the appearance of desired operations such as playing games online. A Trojan horse varies from a virus because the Trojan binds itself to the non-executable file such as image and audio files. Generally, this type of Trojan horse virus works with the audio files, video files, whatever games you download through the internet. They doesn't need any executable file. They are carried along with the files which you download, which you copy from one system to the another system, and they get copied into your system and they affect the system. Next, logic bombs. Logic bombs is a malicious program that uses a trigger to activate the malicious code. This particular logic bomb need a execution to get into the system. Unless and until you don't trigger it, they doesn't get installed into a system. Hence, this is a program which requires a trigger to get activate on your system. The logic bomb remain non-functioning until that trigger event doesn't happen through a code. Once triggered, a logic bomb implements a malicious code that causes harm to your computer. Cyber security specialists recently discovered that the logic bombs that attack and destroy the hardware component in a workstation or a server, which includes cooling fan, hard drives and power supplies. The logic bombs overdrives these devices until they overheat or fails. I'm stopping here. The next is the ransomware. Ransomware grabs a computer system or a data it contains until the victim makes a payment. Ransomware encrypts the data in a computer with a key which is unknown to the user. Whenever this type of virus gets installed into a system, they generally lock the system. Whichever file you are accessing, they might go for locking that particular file also. And they encrypt the data. Encryption means what? Converting that particular text into some unreadable format. Unless and until you don't pay for it. A user has to pay a ransom, that is a price. Hence we call it as a ransomware. A user has to pay a ransom to the criminals to retrieve that particular data. Once the amount is paid, a victim can resume using his or her own system. Next is the keylogger. Keylogger records everything that the user types or user accesses on the system. The main intention of this keylogger is to obtain the password and other sensitive information from that user and might go for sending them to some resources which might pay for them. So this might send them to the source of a key logging program. The next comes the backdoors. Backdoors bypass the usual authentication used to access the system. Whenever we access a system, we give some credentials or an authentication to access that system. This particular backdoor virus generally attacks this authentication system only. And there is no need to authenticate and directly we can access that particular system. The purpose of the backdoor is to grant the cyber criminals future access to the system, even if that organization fixes the original vulnerability used to attack that system. Since still this backdoor gets run into a system. Next, rootkits. Rootkit modifies the operating system to make the backdoor. Hence, this rootkit works along with the backdoor. Attackers then use the backdoor to access the computer distantly. Most rootkits take the advantage of software vulnerabilities to modify the system file. Next, adware. Adware refers to the type of the malware that generally displays unwanted advertisement on your computer or a device. Whenever you visit a particular website, we might certainly get certain ad which is flashed on your screen when you browse that website. What are these? These are the adwares only. Adware is commonly activated unknowingly when a user tries to install the applications that adware is bundled with. Next, browser hijacking. A browser hijacking is a malware program that modifies the web browser setting without the user permission. Whenever commonly a user accesses the browser, so these particular hackers are generally aware that the type of the browser which is commonly used by the user. So for example, we use the Internet Explorer, we use the Mozilla Firefox, we use the Opera, we use the Chrome. Most commonly, generally, we use the Chrome only. So this browser hijacking is nothing but a program which directly modifies the setting of your Chrome browser without the intimation or intention to that particular user. Here, this is done oftenly, which is called as a browser redirect virus, because it directs the virus to the others, which is usually malicious website also. And the last one is the scareware. Scareware is a type of malware which attack that claim to be have detected a virus or other issue on a device, and they direct the user to download or to buy this malicious software to resolve this problem. Generally speaking, scareware is a gateway to a cyber attack and not the attack itself. We will go through a summary which we have seen in this session. We have seen what is a malware. We have also gone through the type of the malware, which is adware, spyware, browser hijacking, virus, worms, Trojan horse, and scareware. In the next lecture, we will see the kinds of cyber crime. Thank you.